Pretty impressive, huh? Mavericks in the Mega Man X series are essentially the series answer to the Roar Masters in the classic Mega Man series. There's 8 of them you have to deal with, and beating them rewards you with weapons. While some of these Mavericks are not as great, most of them are really cool. So today, I'll be making a top 15 of my favorite Mavericks in the X series. A few rules though. 1. I'm only including Mavericks that give you weapons, so Mavericks like Sigma and Val are disqualified. 2. I haven't played Command Mission, so no Mavericks from that game. And 3. All 8 of the main series X games will have at least one representative on this list. And for the record, I have played all 8 of these main series X games with me playing X7 and X8 recently. Well, don't think there's anything else I need to say, so let's start the countdown. Oh boy, first entry on the list and already making a confession. What am I talking about? Well, simply put, I don't hate Mega Man X7 as much as everyone else does. Sure, the game has some odd design choices, but personally, I didn't mind the 3D segments, and at times, the game can be rather fun, especially when playing as Axel. However, I won't deny that the game's rogues gallery isn't that strong. But if I had to choose one to represent this game, I'm going with Vanishing Gungaroo. And no, it's not because of bias, as I was born in Australia and kangaroos are Australian animals. It's just that out of the roster in X7, I think he's the best, or at the very least, has the least problems. First, let's talk about his design. As you can tell by the name, Vanishing Gungaroo is a Maverick designed after a kangaroo. But not just any kangaroo, he's most likely designed after a boxing kangaroo, which is a symbol of Australia. The guy's kangaroo motif is shown best by the fact that he pilots the right armor designed after a kangaroo mother. And to be honest, the idea behind Gungaroo is a pretty good idea, and it's why I do admit that some people were too hard on most of the Maverick designs in X7. Emphasis on most. As for the stage, it's divided into 4 segments. The first segment involves you going down a dimly lit corridor where you pick up the first of 2 right armors found in this level. With it, you can shoot at enemies and launch bombs. And I'll admit, as cool looking as this right armor is, it's really slow. But hey, at least its bombs can destroy the seemingly invisible large mines in this level. The second segment involves a room with some strange green substance. Of course, you can find your way to the exit, but if you want to save all the red points here, you must use the second right armor in this level. And while it's not as cool looking as the other one, it's a lot faster, and it helps you traverse through the green substance with ease. The first segment involves... Okay, to be honest, this segment just existed. It's not terrible, but at the same time, there's nothing special here. And the final segment involves a giant room full of pillars. Your main objective in this part is to destroy all the enemy right armors here. And whether you're in a right armor yourself or not, this part isn't much of a hassle if you know what you're doing. As for the fight with Gungaroo himself, it's divided into 2 phases. The first phase involves him piloting his Gungaroo personal ride. In it, he will punch at you and create sonic shields. And yeah, it's a somewhat easy phase since he's a large target in his right armor and his health is pretty low, but at the same time, it's somewhat fun. As for the second phase, Gungaroo, now without his right armor, will hop around the arena. His attack involves a dive kick, punches, a ground shockwave, and a smaller version of his sonic shield. My recommendation for this battle, if you don't want to use Wind Crow Rank's weapons, use Axel and rapidly fire at him. The lock-on feature in X7 really helps here. As for dodging his attack, he will say something before he initiates it, so as soon as he does, dash out of the way. Sadly, his weapons are not that impressive. Zero's Dangeki isn't bad, in fact it's been incorporated in his moveset in Marvel vs. Capcom, but the explosion that X and Axel gets is very short range. Oh well, at least when using it, Axel gets an awesome looking gun that fires long range and powerful energy blasts. Sweet! So overall, Vanishing Gungaroo is an alright Maverick from an otherwise meh roster of Mavericks, and that's all I have to say about that. We now go from the best Maverick in what others regard as the worst X game to the best Maverick in what I regard as the worst X game. I've made no secret that I really don't care for Mega Man X6, and neither do I care for its Maverick lineup. While some of these Mavericks have cheap bosses or are just poorly designed, my main problem with them is their level designs. Whether it's Blizzard Wolfang's ice physics, Rainy Turtloid's acid rain, Infinity Magenius Illumina, Metal Shark Flare's Swamp-like Ceiling, or Blaze Genius's Nightmare Snake Party. Like I said before, these levels feel like the people who made this game hate us for whatever reason. Honestly, the only Maverick in this game without any form of BS is Commander Yanmark. Yeah, it's kinda sad to know that my favorite Maverick from my least favorite X game is higher than my favorite Maverick from a game I don't hate as much. Anyways, why is Yanmark the only good Maverick in X6's roster? Well, first, the design. Being a Reploid design after a Dragonfly, he does look pretty cool, even if he does look kinda feminine. And considering his name, I wouldn't be surprised if the people who made him were inspired by Yanma from Pokemon. Like I said before, Yanmark here is the only Maverick in X6 without any BS, and that applies to his stage. There's not much obstacles here, which may be a bad thing, but considering this is Mega Man X6, is a positive. The level is well designed, the enemies aren't too annoying, the music here is one of X6's better songs. Really, the only thing annoying about this level is the bad camera edit section. Other than that though, nothing to complain about, but at the same time, nothing much to talk about either. As for a fight, it's also tolerable. True, he has the assistance of his Robo Dragonflies, but their attacks don't do much damage, so it makes Yanmark a good option for being the first Maverick to take down an X6. Speaking of the word option, the weapon you get is called the Yanmark option. It's essentially a shield made out of 3 dragonflies that all attack if you hit the attack button, and they're pretty durable, so one hit from something won't destroy them instantly. So yeah, a pretty good offensive and defensive weapon. Overall, the rest of the Mavericks in X6 should take notes from Commander Yanmark, because this is a prime example of a Maverick done right. And now a candidate for the recent entry in the series, Mega Man X8. While this game has some odd design choices, like its continue system, all in all, it's not a bad game. As for the Maverick lineup, it's alright. It does have some least wanted criminals, including my least favorite Maverick in the series, but it also has some Mavericks who are good at what they do. Case in point, Dark Mantis. That name is already an indication of how cool this Maverick is, but that's not the only reason why he's the best that X8 has to offer. For a rival design after a Mantis, he looks really cool and sinister. And as for his stage, well, true to his name, it's a dark level, and that's where his gimmick kicks in. Namely, it's a stealth level. Yup, you gotta be very careful not to touch any of the laser wires or searchlights, otherwise your penalty is an enemy gauntlet. Other than the stealth, we have elevators with boxes on some of them, which you can use to defend yourself from these lasers, and a segment where you must not kill the mob may kill as it's your only source of light. Killing it will make this segment pretty much unseeable. His fight can be tricky if you don't know what to do. It starts off simple with him just hopping around, meaning if you want to be safe, you have to stick to the walls and air dash. However, it gets tricky once he starts clinging onto the walls himself, and you need to know when he's going to hop back down onto the floor and where he's going to land. His attacks include his Shadow Runner, multiple black arrows that he tosses into the sky, and grabbing you, meaning you have to switch characters. And as for his Desperation move, he leaps into the sky and uses both of his claws to perform giant splashes. Not a bad fight, but it's certainly hard. As for weapons, both X and Axel gets homing weapons, whereas Zero gets the X8 equivalent of the Sea-Sword from X5. Pretty good rewards if I do say so myself. Overall, while he may not be perfect, there's no way I could leave Dark Mantis in the dark. What? I couldn't find a better way to end this segment. Mega Man X3 is my personal favorite game in the 3 SNES X titles and my second favorite right behind X5. And one of the reasons I really like this game is the fact that it has one of the best Maverick lineups in the whole series. And by that, it means that there aren't any Mavericks from this game that I outright hate. And buzzing his way to the number 12 entry is Blast Hornet. First off, just look at this guy and tell me he doesn't look cool. Wouldn't be surprised if he was a source of inspiration for Hornet Man in Mega Man 9. His stage starts off with an elevator ride, then some slow-moving conveyor belts, which is a good thing since fast-moving conveyor belts is a cliche I usually don't like in video games. Then you fight a hologram mini-boss that can be kind of annoying if you don't know what to do or have the right upgrade, and after you go outside, you fight another mini-boss where you must destroy all the cargo loaded onto a ship belonging to the Doppler army, as one does. Finally, you deal with some more slow-moving conveyor belts and falling crates. A pretty good stage, but not the biggest fan of the music in the SNES version. The best part about Hornet though is his fight. It was hard for me at first, but once I figured out what to do, it's not that hard. His attacks include firing 5 miniature hornets at you and flying at you with his stinger, and that's all he'll do until he loses a good chunk of his health. After that happens, he'll change tactics and will now attack you with 4 miniature hornets that home in on you. So you'd better try not to get hit by his reticle, and if you do, try to destroy all the hornets flying at you. His weapon, the Parasitic Bomb, is a bomb that latches itself onto small enemies, disabling their functions and detonates in a few seconds. But if there's another enemy nearby, the bomb and the enemy it latched onto will fly themselves into it. Not a bad weapon, and the charged version of it allows you to shoot homing hornets at enemies. Consider it a predecessor to Mega Man 9's Hornet Chaser. Overall, it's no wonder why I always go after Blast Hornet in every playthrough of X3 I do, because everything about this guy is a blast! Get it? Blast? Oh, never mind. From one X3 Maverick to another, Blizzard Buffalo manages to be higher than Blast Hornet on my list in several factors. While his design isn't as cool as Hornet's, it's acceptable for a Reploid design after a Bison. No, not that kind of Bison. As for his stage, I've already talked about it in my Ice Lows list, which sadly was never finished. But since it's been years since that countdown, talking about it again wouldn't hurt. Like I said before, this low is full of ice physics, but it's not too annoying. True, the ice here have no sense of friction, but considering everything X is capable of, I say that dying here is unlikely. Really, the only threat here is the clusters of mechanolloids at the end of the stage, but it's still a good stage all the way through, even if there's not much here. I still think that this is the best ice low in the X series, though the competition isn't very stiff. As for Blizzard Buffalo himself, he mainly attacks by charging at you. The arena you fight him in is a couple of screens wide, and you can't attack him when he's off screen. Occasionally, he will attack by throwing 3 ice projectiles that leave behind spikes, and when he's low on health, he'll pull a shoulder whoop, only it doesn't kill you, but freeze you. A fun fight, especially if you have the leg upgrades you get from his stage, but also somewhat easy. And to be honest, there's sort of a reason as to why he's easy. You see, Blizzard Buffalo is not a violent Reploid, he's just a gentle ski slope security guard with a habit of making ice sculptures. He only became a Maverick after being infected by the Maverick virus, which allowed him to blindly attack his opponents. Certainly brings the phrase Gentle Giant to a brand new level, huh? His weapon is better than Blast Hornet's weapon in my opinion. While the Frost Shield is not much of a shield, it's still a very powerful weapon. Not much else I can say about Blizzard Buffalo other than the fact that he's a cool Maverick. Okay fine, I'll start with the puns.